السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ونور قلوبنا بمعرفتك، واشرح صدورنا من نور كتابك وسنة نبيك، واحفظنا عن زلل وخطأ في بيان مرادك. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. So we will be discussing Kitab al-Istibra, which is when a person obtains um, ownership of a slave girl, new ownership, then he has to make istibara. Istibara means he has to ensure that her womb is not with child, potentially or in reality. So then we discussed that the foundation for this masala is a hadith of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam regarding the prisoners of Awtas. And from there we extracted the illah, that's the reason why despite becoming owners, we're not allowed to have intimacy with their slave girls until one hayd had passed. So from there, the Ahnaf making from Qiyas, they extracted the illah, that is, this is due to istihdathul milk wal yad, and becoming the owner and obtaining authority over this slave girl. And we mentioned the hikmah and the wisdom for it as well, to protect the child's lineage and so forth. And then we mentioned that once this is the actual illah, the actual cause, the actual reason for it is iratul wati, and the intention to have intimacy. But because irada is not something that we can come to know about, something that takes place in the heart, as an intention, the niyyah. So therefore, we have linked the illah to something which is measurable, something which can be discerned, something which can be seen, and that is
طيب.
tamakkun. And tamakkun al-wati, which takes place via obtaining ownership. So therefore, so the sabab, okay, the sabab was in the illah. So it's the illadul illah. Okay, so now he's saying that the illah, the hukam, sorry, will revolve around this cause. Wherever the cause is found, the illah is found, then the hukam will come into place. So this is the asl, the usul. And so once the illah is found, you don't look at the circumstances. If the illah is found, hukam takes place. Istibara has to come into effect. We don't look at the cause of it. That's why he's mentioning وتعدى الحكم إلى سائر أسباب الملك, that the hukam will be transferred to all manners of ownership, all ways in which a person can become an owner, all the avenues in which you can become an owner, it will be transferred to all such ways as well, such as shira, purchasing the slave, hiba, getting it as a gift, wasiya, received it as a bequest, mirath, inheritance, khula, kitaba, وغير ذلك, etc. Okay? So irrespective of how you came into ownership, when the illah is found, istihdatul milk wal yad, hukam will be found, istibra will be coming to effect. Now, to further explain and clarify this, asal, wherever the illah is found, hukam takes place, is giving a few examples to show you that even in those circumstances where it's not possible for her to bring an even then, because the illah is found, istibra must take place. Right? So once we have established the illah, then whenever the illah is found, the hukm will come into effect. Right? We don't look at circumstances after that. وكذا يجب على المشتري إمال الصبي. Likewise, istibra will become compulsory necessary upon the mushtari, that person who purchases a slave girl, from the wealth of a child, of a minor. So obviously that's the minor's wealth, so it will be his slave girl. But even though he might not be of an age where he can have intimacy with a slave girl, he doesn't even know about such things, even then istibra has to take place. وإدارة الخطوة ومن المرأة And even if you purchase a slave girl from a female owner, the Sayyid, the master that was a Sayyida, was a female. So again, there's no question of pregnancy even then. Illat is found, istihdathul milk, hukum will be found, istibara must take place. You don't look at the fact that the previous owner was a female. وَمِنَ الْمَمْلُوكِ. Similarly, if a person has to purchase it from a slave, a slave ma'adun, a slave who has been given the permission to buy and sell, and he is in debt, so he's selling off things to raise money to pay off his debt. Even then, because he doesn't have permission, a mamluk, a slave, yeah, even though he has permission to trade and he has permission to do all the things that are required to trade, such as getting a slave to help and assist, he doesn't have permission to have intimacy with them. So here again, there's no question of intimacy taking place. Again, istihdatul milk or rakaba is found, istihdatul milk or yad is found, istibra must take place. وَمِمَّنْ لَا يَحِلُّ لَوَاتِهَا. And even purchasing from someone who is not permissible for that person to have a relationship with a slave girl. Okay? Even then. Understand?
Sure.
So he's giving all these examples to show you that this is the qaida. Wherever the illa is found, the hukam must take place. The hukam must come into effect. Not just for this masala, for all masail. وغير ذلك وكذا يجب على المشتري من مال الصبي وكذا إذا كانت المشترات بكرا لم توطى لتحكم السبب وإدارة الأحكام الأسباب دون حكم ببطونها. And if the slave girl was a minor, then the likes of which cannot have intimacy with, even then istibra must take place. Then you will wait for one period, 1 month, whatever the case is. لتحقق السبب. Why? Because the sabab is found. Then you've acquired ownership and authority. وإدارة الأحكام على الأسباب. And the ahkam revolve, this is the qaida. The ahkam of deen, all ahkam revolve around the asbab min al-ilal. Duna al-hikam, not upon the wisdom of it. What is the wisdom behind it? We don't look for the wisdom. Then we look at the illah. What is the wisdom behind it? What is, no. We don't look at the hikam, we look at what is the illah. Once the illah is found, the hukam takes place. Why libutuniya? Why? Because the hikam is unknown. Who can understand the wisdom of Allah Ta'ala? Who can understand why Allah Ta'ala, for what reason, what purpose Allah Ta'ala has instituted certain ahkam, or the Sharia has instituted certain ahkam? يعتبر تحقق السبب. So therefore we will consider the establishment of the sabab, meaning the illah. And whenever the illah is established, is found, or hukam comes into being. عند توهم الشغل, at the time of the possibility of pregnancy. وكذا لا يجتزأ بالحيض, now is mentioning another faraq. وكذا لا يجتزأ بالحيض التي اشتراها في أثنائها ولا بالحيض التي حافظها بعد الشراء. You won't take into consideration, it's not sufficient, won't suffice, that haid in which he bought her. She was currently in a haid, in a menses, at the time the person purchased, you don't count that haid. You have to wait for the next one. ولا بالحيض التي حافظها بعد الشراء وغيره من أسباب من قبل القبض. And similarly, that haid which she's experiencing after he has purchased her, etc., gotten her as a gift and so on and so forth, min asbab milk, they mentioned above, whatever the cause of ownership, that haid which he's purchased her, qabla al-qalb, but he hasn't taken ownership of her yet, and he only took ownership of her days later or a month later, whatever. So even that haid which occurred in between purchasing and qabd, that also won't be considered. We'll have to await another haid. ولا بالولاية الحاصلة بعدها, neither was giving birth obtained after ishtira, after purchasing it, before قبل القلب, before taking ownership. خلافا لأبي Yusuf, contrary to Imam Yusuf. Imam Yusuf he differs in this مسألة لأن السبب استحداث الملك واليد والحكم لا يسبق الحدث. سبب, sorry. Why? Because again, the sabab is استحداث الملك واليد. Then to acquire, newly acquire ownership and authority. You have obtained ownership, but the authority yet is not there yet. So both those things have to be found. Then only it's tam. Then only the ownership is complete. The hukam cannot come before the sabab. Since sabab has become to be something to come before something. So the hukam can't come before the sabab is found. So when the sabab is not found completely in these examples, so therefore the hukm can't intervene. It follows from the illah. It can't come before the illah. وكذا لا يجتزأ بالحاصل قبل الإجازة في بيع الفضول. And similarly the hay which is experienced before the person gives permission in the purchase of a fuduli. A purchase of a fuduli is a third party. He purchased something on your behalf without your permission. He just purchased it. Right? For example, he heard that you like this particular set or whatever. He went and bought it for you. Understand? Without asking your permission, he bought it to you. Yeah, I bought this for you, you must pay the money. Right? So a third party bought it for you without your permission. So in this case here, the pay is suspended upon your ijazah. Only once you give ijazah, then only it goes through. Then only it counts. So if in that interim, she had a haid, it won't count before you gave ijazah. After she left, before you gave ijazah. وإن كان في يد المشرك, even if she is in your possession when this happened. Understood?
Okay.
For example, you borrowed your friend's cell. So she's in your possession, right? For using it to just help with the housework, help you with the housework, for example. Right? So she is in your possession, and you mentioned that what you mentioned to someone, you know what a good worker she is, and very particular and this that. That person meant to speak to you, down you want to tell this to your buddy over there, and he made the deal on your behalf without your permission. So she's in your possession, understand? But before he could come and tell you that he's bought her for you, understand? She got a hide. So, and then you came and told you, and then you gave permission for it, for the deal, but then also it won't count. Follow? For example, ولا بالحاصل بعد القبض في الشراء الفاسد. And similarly, that hay which is obtained, which is experienced, after having taken ownership in a bay that is fasid. قبل أن يشتريها بشراء صحيح. Before you were able to redo the deal and purchase her in a correct transaction, a rectified transaction. Understood that? Anything you didn't understand? Any questions?
الحمد لله بالشكر.
Okay, we'll stop there. سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
عليكم السلام.